Hey everyone, Anna here, talking to you from this beautiful place. It's a gorgeous day today, and I thought this would be an amazing opportunity to first of all test my new microphone out here in nature with the waves in the background, but also share a little bit more about what's been happening in my life lately. And what I can tell you is this year has been an interesting journey so far, and that is definitely an understatement. It's been a journey full of rapid change and surprises, and in a lot of ways also things that were not completely unexpected, but just the pace at which things have been unfolding has been a surprise. And there's been such an acceleration, especially in the past month. I'm right now basically just sitting here, not even fully realizing yet what's happening right now, knowing that what is happening right now is inevitably going to change my life in big ways, and a lot more quickly than I was expecting. And at the same time, it just feels unreal. So, looking back, the past 6 months or so have definitely been a time for me to face a lot of fears that I had been avoiding facing for a long time. I mean, years, many years. And initially it kind of started with just some, big steps, but just one step at a time, maybe one big step, and then waiting, and then taking my time to integrate, and then taking the next big step. But it's just become clear to me that this is not the way to move forward right now. If I want to really step into my big dreams, that is not the way to move forward. I cannot continue on this journey by just taking those cautious little steps and then maybe one big step from time to time. But I'm remembering something that somebody said to me back in the summer. I was working with a healer and a bioenergetics practitioner who was helping me with my allergies back then, and he did a scan. He scanned my entire body, my entire system, and the last time I was there was something that showed up. And so movement was a big thing, and initially I was a little bit surprised because I'm someone who likes to spend a lot of time outside, and I tend to get a lot of exercise, and I'm out in nature all the time, and I was kind of surprised. Well, what does this really mean? And what he said was, what he was actually feeling from me was a lot of hesitation. And so initially I wasn't even seeing it, but now I can really see the impact of actually really digging a bit deeper there and facing that pattern of hesitation that I had been so stuck in for so many years that I wasn't even seeing it. And so I've really been in a process of, yes, taking big steps forward, but also letting go in big ways, letting go of certain ideas of what should be unfolding in certain ways of doing things, and certain ways of accomplishing my goals and stepping into my dreams. And I'm just going to take a moment here. There's somebody listening. So yeah, initially it was something I was really just paying attention to, that I wanted to be more aware of, but more recently it's just become clear in so many other ways too. Basically, life right now is not giving me any other options. I've exhausted the cautious options, so to speak, and so I'm in a place now where it's just clear that there is no other way to move forward. And so a little more than a week ago, there was pretty much a door that closed. The step forward that I thought was going to be the next step, the next big step towards setting myself free to live my next level life. And that door closed, and it just became clear that there was only one other way, and that was to fully face my fears, take this one big leap, the kind of risk that I had not, that I believed I would not be ready to take in a million years, because it's the kind of risk that could potentially, completely end my life the way I'm living it right now. So I'm talking about the kind of risk that could potentially lead to my life completely falling apart and just pretty much being my worst nightmares coming true. But also, it is the kind of leap and the kind of risk that could potentially open the door to my biggest, wildest, most beautiful dreams a lot faster than I ever thought possible. And so that is what's happening right now. That's what I believe deep down is happening right now. I can feel the liberation of taking this step forward, and in a lot of ways, deep down, I was actually hoping that this would happen, because I knew it would be the fastest way forward and out of this period. The many, many years of being stuck. And in a lot of ways, I see the purpose of this experience too, and I also see why it was necessary for me to be very grounded and to spend this time growing new roots here and not be moving around in the world in a big, big way. And I just needed this time and space to really focus on building my foundation and my business as well. And now I can see it's time. It's time to end this period of stagnation and taking cautious steps forward and just be free. And so this step that I took this past week, for so many years it would have felt like an uncalculated risk, but just now that I've exhausted all my options and I can see it's the only way forward, the only way that really makes sense, I know it's life telling me it's time, and I'm doing it, and I just feel so liberated. And as I said, I can not even fully, I'm not fully realizing yet what's happening, but basically what is happening is that within the next few months or so, I'm going to be free to start an entirely new life. And no matter how it goes, even if, the worst case scenario happens, I'm still going to be free to start an entirely new life. I'm still going to be free to live my biggest and boldest dreams, and I know whatever's happening is supporting me fully and stepping into freedom, which is, so interesting in a lot of ways too, because that's what is happening in the collective right now as well. The topic of freedom has been such a big one, I'd say, for the past couple years, but especially now it's really coming to the surface, and it's manifesting in big ways in the collective as well. So I'm very much riding this wave in my personal life too, and I know it's going to, totally change my life. And I'm so excited, and I can't even really tell you all the physical details of what I'm creating right now, but what I can tell you is that I've been basically in this process of, acting as if. That's pretty much what I've been doing this entire year. And so I've been preparing to travel. I've been, clearing out my closets and cleaning up my space, creating space for a new life. I've been clearing out my carry-on bags and suitcase and all those things, and that was something I was already doing before I got the sign to take this big leap that I was just talking about. But I was just feeling it so physically. I was feeling that it was time to get ready, and even though in my mind it was not going to happen for another year, I was just kind of, preparing for whatever is going to be happening in much bigger ways, maybe about a year from now. This has set such a rapid process in motion that I was actually starting to feel, also based on everything that was changing in my business and all the big things that I was stepping into in my business. I could feel that potentially waiting another year for the big changes would actually keep me stuck longer than necessary, and that it was actually already kind of starting to feel like I was not able to fully expand into the things that I'm ready to expand into in my business by just staying where I am right now. So I could see it, I could feel it, and now I'm getting confirmation. I'm getting confirmation from life, following the signs, taking the steps, and trusting that life has my back in the most beautiful and amazing ways. And that is actually a big part of one of the steps in my Manifest Your Dream Life workbook and journal. Well, this entire process, it is the chapter of aligned action, and so I've really been embracing that. And one thing that I like to say a lot of times is that I'm actually often not the kind of person who needs to take a lot of action to manifest my dreams and desires, and often I'm very receptive, and a lot of it is just surrendering and receiving and not putting in a lot of effort and energy. But in this case, it is a different story, and so it is also an act of surrender. It's not the kind of process, the kind of action that takes a lot of effort, that takes a lot of time. It is the kind of action that takes a lot of courage. And that's what I've seen before in my life as well. That's actually what happened in a lot of ways when I first got started on this journey about 10 years ago, when I set myself free to travel the world and pretty much step into this journey into the unknown, which is what I called it back then. That was the same thing when I started my first business. It was a big leap. It was not something that required a lot of effort necessarily, but it was just something that was calling me, that I had been hesitating to do for such a long time because I was stuck in fear. But once I stopped listening to the fear and I just stepped into this life that I had been envisioning in a big, big way, I just took the leap. I let go of everything that was holding me back, and life had my back every single time. And just one example, when I started my first business, I quit my job cold turkey, and I just knew I was going to be fully supported, even though I had not yet, built the foundation for my business. Even though, yes, I was taking what I knew from corporate and turned that into my own business. So, of course, I already had a network, and that made things easier. But, I quit my job, and a couple days later, my employer asked me if pretty much they could be my first client. And so that made the transition a lot easier. And, then so many other things opened up, and I proceeded on this journey of setting myself free to travel, and then an entirely new journey opened up. I stepped into, I had a spiritual awakening, and then just got started on my journey as a YouTuber and working with the angels and all those beautiful things. But I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel this is exactly what's happening now, but just after so many years of doing all the deep, deep healing work that I had not yet done 10 years ago, and so it also feels very different, a lot more grounded in a lot of ways, and I'm just really putting to the test everything that I have learned, everything that I've been teaching for so many years as well. And I'm, yes, scared. I'm also excited, and I truly believe deep down this is going to be the door to my biggest and wildest and most beautiful dreams coming true, and I'll share more about that once that time comes. So right now, I am still in a waiting period. So I took this big leap a week ago, and now I'm gonna have to wait for about 3 months or so. Could be less, it could be a little bit more. I'm trusting the timing, but once that waiting period is over, my life is going to, change rapidly and completely, and you're gonna see more of what exactly that means. So I'm gonna end this video here. I'm gonna share more about the updates in my business in a separate video, I believe. And so I've had to make a few more changes there as well. So I'm basically just taking the steps I need to take to, keep a solid foundation and stay grounded, but also be able to keep providing the high level of service that I want to provide to my clients, while also being free to travel and not having to do everything on my own, which I already knew I needed to do anyway. So, well, just very briefly, I talked to an agency this week, actually, that is going to support me with a lot of the creative work, and so that feels like big relief. But again, I'm going to share more about that in an upcoming video. And if you've been waiting to join me on this journey of making your big and bold and beautiful dreams happen and step into your best life, then I would love for you to join me. My Manifest Your Dream Life workbook and journal is now officially available on my website, and I'm going to leave the link for you down below. It's still going to be on sale until Valentine's Day, so now is the time to go and get it. And I'll have more for you on this soon as well. I'm sending you so much love, and I can't wait to be back with more very soon.